Hey, so I just wanted to go over with you some of the weekly assignments that you'll be doing for me. I mentioned this in the email and it's on your syllabus. So, a couple of things that you'll be doing for me: two major essays, um, you will have a final exam, but in between all of this, you will be doing weekly journals and then weekly style practices, which are exactly the prompt that we're about to go over. You will have one style practice per week, so you will have a total of 8. Those will be due on Fridays at 11:59 p.m. So, what I'm going to be asking you to do um, for these style practices, I will have you read a text. I'll have you read it. I'm going to have you summarize what you read, and then I'm going to have you analyze it. Um, you don't have to spend too much time doing this, but it's me assessing, touching base with you to see if your analysis skills improve from beginning of this course to the end of this course, um, which types of readings you prefer, and then how equipped you will be, how prepared you will be for your classes later, particularly English 111 and then English 112. Um, you will be getting, if you scroll down here, this prompt is on Moodle for you. If you scroll all the way down to schedule, I have the dates that you will be working with, and then I also have the readings that you will be doing. You can see that you have quite a wide variety of readings that you'll be doing. You'll start with a children's book, which I have pulled up over here. I'll post that on Moodle for you. We will also be looking at a comic book. You'll do some novel excerpts, some short stories, and then here at the very end, we're transitioning into maybe some research, some website articles, some journal articles um, that you will look at for me. Now, um, this starts going from children's to more academic writing. So, my goal was to try to build you up, build up your confidence, build up those skills, so that way um, you can be prepared by the time you get to the end. Now, I will say, here's why these last two are important. So, if you go to your syllabus, you will see at the very end of this course description, students will also learn how to improve sentence structure. Um, Clip that, set that aside. Students will also learn how to conduct academic research. Now, we won't be doing extensive research at all, but in some of the things that I'll be asking you to do, I want you to start thinking about, um, you know, what makes a quote unquote good website? What makes a good source that you can use that's reliable? Um, Thinking about those kinds of questions, hopefully by the end of the semester. Um, I have a rubric for you that I will be, in general, grading you on. If you had me last semester, or excuse me, the last 8 weeks, you know that this is largely participation, but I do need to push you a little bit more this course to stretching those skills. Now, so you'll notice that your first assignment is due tomorrow, March 27th, and it's Hop on Pop. Now, I have already done this second part for you, so remember I ask you to summarize and then I ask you to analyze. Um, I have gone ahead and given you the analysis. What I would like for you to do for March 27th is just paraphrase what it is you heard me say. maybe add some other things that you noticed as well. So I'm trying to bootstrap you into doing these practices on your own, and I will take a back seat later, starting with next Friday. So I have an example here for you. So for style practices, couple questions you need to ask yourself. So the first, what's the purpose of any kind of reading? Who's the intended audience? And then the third question that you need to ask, so what's the style of the reading? So style is the big thing that we're focusing on, but this third question relates to the top two. Um, you see down here, I say, in other words, how does it help early learners learn how to read? So the purpose of Hop on Pop is it's to help early learners to read and to recognize phonetic patterns. Basically, it's to help learners to read. The intended audience, very early readers, you can just see from the title right here. This is just starting out practicing phonetic sounds and getting to recognize them. So, um, and so then what's the style as well? So these are really um, two key questions to ask yourself to start. But really, the third question is where you will be spending most of your time. So, so what you will do before I get into this analysis, I just want to repeat what you will do. You will read this text. It says it's 65 pages. You probably are going to get the gist by the end here. But you can quickly skim through it. You'll be able to make some really mature observations without reading all 65 pages for detail. So you will read Hop on Pop. And so again, you will read. The next thing that you will do, you will summarize what you read. Now, in the example that I have provided you, I did not give you a summary. Instead, I just focused on the analysis. So you will read this, number one. Number two, you will summarize it. Number three, you will talk about its style. So, three things that you need to do: read it, summarize it, analyze it. Those are the three things that you will need to do. Um, so, I have an example here of style. A few things that you will want to look at with style. I have A, tone and mood. Tone and mood, oftentimes, it's some sort of attitude that the author has. Typically, in our instance, you can summarize tone or mood in one word. That's really all you need for our purposes. It's just one word. So if we're thinking about Hop on Pop, and the attitude that the author has, and basically the overall feeling that the author is trying to convey, the overall feeling that the readers have after reading it. Okay, Hop on Pop, for kids, for early readers. I mean, looking at the colors, looking at the characters, just thinking about how things are drawn, I think it's safe to say that overall, the general feeling that we all have after looking at this text, it's something fun, it's something playful, it's something that kids can enjoy, it's lighthearted, it's not very heavy. We're talking about vocabulary words. It's fun, it's playful, it's funny in a way. relatable. How many kids have probably done this? Um, you know, kids are going to laugh at that. The hairstyle, I think the deepest it probably gets is um, Sad Dad. This is probably the poem that is the most heavy. But otherwise, you know, this is funny for kids. This is fun. The second thing that you will talk about, this is a little bit longer, it's diction. All diction means is word choice. Um, I give you a couple of examples down here. The words are simple, the words rhyme, the words repeat. Those are the key things about diction here. So, looking through this, let's go back to this page right here. Sad, dad, bad, had. Really simple words. They all rhyme, they all repeat the same sound, um, and they're all just simple one syllable words. Hopefully, by the end of Sad, Dad, Bad, after you read those three, readers can anticipate, they can guess, these early learners can guess that the next word is probably going to have that same rhyme to fit in with the rest of those words. So word choice. I say they're simple. They have one syllable. If you're not sure about counting syllables, thinking about clapping your hands to say the word. So the words rhyme. So in other words, looking at these, CB, we see a B. CB3, now we see 3. So these rhyme. And interestingly, you will notice that this isn't left aligned, so it's not over here like it normally would be, like this text is over here. It's right aligned, so that way all the E's are lined up with each other, which was something that I thought was interesting that I would like to point out. The words repeat themselves, so you can find many examples in this book, but the example that I chose to talk about, Hill and Will, repeated multiple times in just these 2 pages. So Hill went up the hill, Will Hill still, Will is up the hill still. So repeating those same kind of sounds. Now, here's why this is important. Here's why us talking about diction, word choice, the deliberate words that the authors are using. So between the rhymes and the repetitions, readers, they're practicing these sounds, they're committing them to memory because they're saying them so often. Hopefully they are reading them aloud with somebody there to probably teach them, to help them out. That may not necessarily be the case, but likely they are reading this out loud to audibly hear those sounds. So here's what I want you to really think about, and I stress this in my English 112 class. Whenever we look at comic books, whenever we look at movies, we analyze advertisements, websites, a lot of things. I want you to think about, read something, think about the words, the color, the cartoon, the size of everything. Everything is intentional. In other words, the author or the illustrator, depending on what you're looking at, they have made every single choice very, very carefully, and it's your job as a reader to be responsible to ask those questions as to why they made the decision that they did. So that's really here. why did Dr. Seuss decide to put so many rhymes in? Why didn't he repeat himself so much? Well, it's so that way your early learners, they can practice these sounds and they can remember them after saying them so many times. Now, really, A and B are the key things that you will be looking at. Those are the two really big things. Um, you will be looking at just those two with these four. So the four right in the middle of these 8 weeks, you will just be looking at tone and diction. Now, for the other four, you might have visuals to talk about. Um, I give you some examples of visuals. There are a lot of things that you could say about visuals. Um, Talking about the genre, the color, the size, um, all of that. So whenever I say genre, I mean this isn't a still image of President Trump shaking hands at a press conference. This is a cartoon now that likely says this is for kids or this is something that's fun. Not necessarily true in every instance, but I think it's safe to say that a cartoon is meant to be fun in this particular instance. Um, you can talk about the color choice. So, again, thinking that the author has made every single choice, made every single decision very, very carefully, did not just decide to say, sure, that looks good here. Made a deliberate decision very carefully. Okay, so I have, for example, in day play, the color changes. Yellow relates to day, and blue and black relate to night. So we have yellow, green, those brighter, makes you think of outside and the sun and the summer, plain, and then with day. And then you also have at night, you have that blue and you have that black, um, and just those mischievous grins on their faces as well. Here it's you can see their face is a little bit more carefree, and here someone's probably going to get in trouble, is what their faces just tell me. So, you know, thinking about this, if you are a small child, or if you have a small child and you were to read them this book, likely you as a child are going to use these colors as a clue to kind of think about, okay, we're going to talk about day, and then if it turns darker, you still have those two kids with rackets. Maybe we'll be talking about night here. Another example that I give is here. So this is about as heavy as the book gets. This is probably the heaviest poem. Sad dad, bad had. Okay. Dad is obviously sad about something. The kids say, Dad is sad, very sad, he had a bad day. What a day Dad had. Okay. Right here. Based on the color, the darker color in the floor, it's some kind of darkness. Maybe in the room a light is off, or maybe there's just some kind of shadow. So, besides Dad's face, the color on the floor should also, they should be these clues for these early readers that this is something that's not exactly the same as up here with the happy grin. This is probably going to be something that is sad, which is your first word on the page, and then bad is also a key word. So you will notice that if we're talking about sad is the first word on here, and it seems kind of dark and gloomy here, you will notice that sad and bad have a lot of the emphasis right here on this next page. So, the third thing with visuals that I'll mention is that important words are large in font and they're also in all capital letters. Thing, sing, song long. Those are the main focuses of these pages. Now, what these big words do is they go ahead and tell readers these are the specific sounds that you will be working on. This was very brief. Typically, we would take an entire week, we would look at different examples, we would practice them together. Obviously, that is not going to happen. So, I will be lenient as far as grades go. However, I still want to see that effort, and I do want to see you trying, and I would love to see you grow as you work on these styles. So again, let me go ahead and say this again. What you will be doing for March 27th, you will read Hop on Pop, you will summarize it, and then you will analyze it. Now, again, repetition is good. We just talked about that, looked at a kid's book. Repetition is great. I flipped through it with you. Your summary is probably going to be pretty short. I analyzed it for you. What I would like for you to do with analyzing it, you can just go ahead and paraphrase what's on this chart. Now, for your next reading, I won't give you an analysis. This is me trying to help you get started, be thinking about what I'm expecting for these assignments. So a big reason that you are looking at these, you might be wondering, why are we looking at short stories? Why are we looking at comic books, novels, children's books? Okay. Here's something that I really want to emphasize with you. Yes, this class, it's based off of dealing with a lot of fiction, so dealing with children's books, comics books, novels, short stories, plays, a lot of things that just deal with reading. So a couple reasons why we're doing this. Again, us looking at style helps you think about research. You will also notice that in your outcomes for this class, so some key things that you should be bringing out of this class, you should be continuing to read and write and bringing those two together. So that's why you are dealing so much with fiction. And I think this will be very, very useful for you. So let me go ahead and give you just very, very briefly 2 more examples of looking at style. So let's say you just go to Shawnee's website. Now normally, so if we're asking those questions, let's start with these questions up here. I was debating which questions I wanted to look at. So thinking about these questions up here, what's the purpose of the reading? What's the purpose of this website? Well, as I'm sure you know, it's for faculty, staff, students, guests to find out more about the school, to be directed to locate information, to contact people. It's meant to be informative. It's meant to tell you some kind of information that you need. If we're talking about who's the audience, well, we just mentioned that. Staff, faculty, administration, guests, students, all of those people can go to this website and get some sort of information. Something that you might notice, for instance, if we were to talk about visuals or tone and language choice. So this is normally what you would see whenever you would pull up the website. However, if you scroll up, you suddenly see this red banner that talks about the having COVID updates. So something that this red and this exclamation mark should say is, hey, we are meant to be informative, but pay special attention to these particular notifications and these updates to stay informed about this particular subject. You can talk about your social media icons and clicking on those to stay connected. You can talk about your different tabs up here, students, community, those kinds of things. So whenever I've taught this class before, we have looked at blog posts, and we have also looked at political speeches. One of the ones that we look at is analyzing the I Have a Dream speech. This is an excellent video. I would really encourage you to look at it at some point. What this particular author does, she puts the entire speech down into words. And then she categorizes them based on the type of language that's being used. Is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King being repetitive? Is he using metaphors, or is he trying to be visual in helping the reader picture a certain image? Is he using songs or scripture, or is he making a political reference as well? So, fantastic video. You can analyze anything and everything, and so that's why this is so important for the rest of your career. So again, these will be due every Friday, 11:59 p.m. So again, one more time, what I would like for you to do for March 27th, read Hop on Pop, summarize it, and then just restate, just say again some of the things that I say down here, and hopefully this will help you. You can, of course, add your own information as well. So I look forward to reading these from you. And please let me know if you encounter any problems. I'd be more than happy to help you. I know that this is a really frustrating time, and I want you to know that I want you to succeed. And I think this class will be a lot of fun. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, I will read your first practice March 27th.